My fiancé said I need a no-contact break to find myself. I replied, take all the time you need. Then I shipped her belongings to her parents' house. Her panicked, I'm ready to come home. Text came the next day. I 31 male am, or I guess was, engaged to Lauren 29. We've been together for 6 years, living together for 4 in the apartment I bought before I met her. Our wedding was scheduled for 5 months from now. I genuinely believed we were happy. Last Wednesday, she sat me down on our sofa, the one we spent a whole weekend picking out, debating the merits of velvet versus woven fabric. She had a look on her face I'd never seen before, not anger, not sadness, but a kind of detached seriousness. Kyle, she began, her gaze fixed on a spot on the wall just over my shoulder. I need to be honest about my journey right now. My stomach tightened. The word journey used outside the context of travel is never a good sign. What kind of journey? I asked. Lauren, I feel a bit lost, she said, her voice a carefully modulated instrument of sincerity. I love you, of course, but in building our life together, I think I've lost touch with who Lauren is, separate from us. I need space. A real no-contact break to find myself. I just stared, my mind buffering. It felt like she was reading from a bad self-help book. A no-contact break? What does that mean? Are you going to stay with Kelly for a few days? She shook her head, a flicker of impatience in her eyes. No, Kyle. I need a real break from us, from this apartment, from our routines. I need to be completely on my own. No texts, no calls. It's the only way I can figure out my own path. I've been on the internet long enough. I know the script. I need to find myself is often shorthand for I've already found someone else and want to give it a test run without consequences. My first impulse was a hot, blinding flash of anger. I wanted to yell, to demand the truth, to ask her if the last 6 years were a complete joke to her. But my throat closed up. I couldn't speak. I saw the path ahead, the fighting, the pleading, the slow, agonizing death of our relationship over weeks or months. And in that moment of helpless silence, a different thought took root, a cold, quiet, and deeply practical one. She was asking for an ending. She was just dressing it up in therapy speak to absolve herself of guilt. I took a slow, ragged breath. When I finally spoke, my voice was unnervingly calm. Okay, I said. She blinked, clearly thrown. Okay? Yes. Okay. Your journey is important. You should take all the time you need. I understand. The relief that washed over her face was sickening. She was expecting a scene, a fight. I gave her an easy exit. Oh Kyle, thank you. I knew you were mature enough to understand. I'll just pack an overnight bag. No, I said, my voice still quiet, but with a new edge to it. If you need a clean slate, you need a clean slate. No half measures, no safety nets. I stood up, the motion feeling strangely distant, like I was watching someone else. Take all the time you need, Lauren. I'll take care of everything here. She left an hour later with a small duffel bag. Giving me a quick, dry kiss on the cheek, she said this would make us stronger in the end. I just nodded, the lie hanging in the air between us. The door clicked shut, and the silence of the apartment crashed down on me. I didn't move for an hour. I just sat there on my half of the sofa, staring at the indentation she'd left. The anger I'd suppressed earlier came back, followed by a wave of grief so profound, it felt like I was drowning. This was it. It was really over. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, fueled by coffee and a hollowed-out feeling in my chest, I knew what I had to do. I couldn't live in a museum of our relationship, waiting for her to maybe, possibly decide I was what she wanted. Her request for a break was the end. My acceptance was the funeral. I started packing. It wasn't a cold, robotic process. It was brutal. Every object I touched was a memory. The ugly ceramic mug I bought her on our first trip. Her collection of yoga mats. The ridiculously expensive skincare regimen that took up the entire bathroom counter. I packed it all, my grief slowly hardening into a grim resolve. This was a necessary amputation. By late afternoon, my living room was filled with boxes. I called a professional moving service, not a rush job, just a regular one. They scheduled a pickup for the next morning. While I waited, I started the digital purge, canceled her name from the utility accounts she was supposed to be managing. I went to our wedding venue's website. The $2,500 deposit was non-refundable. I stared at the number, a concrete value for our failed future. It hurt. With a deep breath, I filled out the cancellation request and sent it into the ether. The next day, after the movers had taken all 17 boxes away, addressed to her parents' house 3 states over, I stood in the echoing space of my own home. I felt empty, not triumphant, just exhausted. That afternoon, my phone buzzed. It was Lauren. I've had some time to think. It was a mistake. I'm ready to come home now. I miss you. I waited for the feeling of relief. It didn't come. Instead, I just felt tired. I texted back, I don't think that's a good idea. Your belongings are on their way to your parents' house. They should be there by the end of the week. I hope you found what you were looking for. Her call came 3 seconds later. I let it go to voicemail. The barrage had begun. Update, it's been a long week. Thank you for the messages of support. It's strange how validating it is to have strangers confirm you're not insane. My phone has been a war zone. After her initial 27 missed calls, Lauren's texts became a masterclass in emotional whiplash. Lauren, what do you mean you shipped my stuff? Kyle, call me. This is not funny. You sent my things to my parents? Are you serious? You can't do that. It was a break, Kyle, a break to work on myself, for us. I made a mistake. I was scared and I messed up. Please, I love you. Let's just talk about this. I'll do anything. Then came the text from her best friend Kelly, not yelling but something far more insidious. Hey Kyle, Lauren is a complete wreck. I think you really overreacted. You know she loves you. She was just confused. You need to be the bigger person and let her come home. Me, she wanted a no contact break. I'm giving it to her. Don't be cruel. She didn't mean it like that and you know it. She deserves some grace. Don't throw away 6 years because you're angry. The gaslighting was impressive. The real trouble started on Tuesday. I received an email from Martha, the coordinator at our wedding venue. It was not the simple confirmation I was expecting. Dear Kyle, I am writing regarding your cancellation request for Event Hack Redacted. I must inform you that we received a call from Miss Lauren yesterday. She stated that your cancellation request was sent in error during a period of personal distress and that she, as the co-signer on the contract, does not consent to the cancellation. Furthermore, she has requested that if the event date is to be released, the $2,500 deposit be held as a credit in her name for a future booking. As there is a dispute between the contracting parties, we cannot proceed with the cancellation or issue any refunds/credits until we receive a notarized joint statement or a legal directive. The funds are currently frozen. My blood ran cold. This wasn't just a clumsy smash and grab. This was smarter. She wasn't trying to steal the money outright. She was trying to trap it in bureaucratic limbo. She knew I was conflict averse and was betting I'd rather let her have the money than deal with the hassle. It was a calculated move. I called Martha, who was polite but firm. She explained that her hands were tied. Both our names were on the initial contract. Even though I paid everything, she couldn't act on my word alone when her co-signer was actively disputing it. The dream of a clean break vanished. This was going to get messy. To make matters worse, I got a call from Lauren's mother, Judith. I was expecting her to be angry, but her voice was just tense. Kyle, Walter and I are here. We just spoke to Lauren. She said, you threw her out without any warning. What on earth is going on? She wasn't yelling, but the defensive tone was clear. She was protecting her daughter. This wasn't going to be an easy conversation. Okay, things have escalated. It feels like I'm in a low-budget legal drama. That call with Lauren's parents was draining. I didn't meet Judith's defensiveness with anger. I just calmly and sadly laid out the facts. I told her exactly what Lauren said, her I need to find myself speech. Then I told them about her call to the wedding venue, trying to lock up the $2,500 deposit. There was a long silence on the phone. Then I heard her father, Walter, sigh heavily in the background. Judith, he said, ask him if this has anything to do with a man named Zachary. My heart hammered in my chest. Who's Zachary? I asked, playing dumb. Judith's voice was strained when she came back on. Kyle, we're sorry. We didn't know the extent of it. She has a history of making impulsive decisions. We just hoped she had grown out of it. It wasn't the immediate total support from the original story. It was the reluctant, weary concession of parents who have seen this show before. They didn't offer to fix it. They just sounded defeated. A week later, I received a thick envelope in the mail. No certified letter, just a regular one. Inside was a typed letter from Lauren and a stack of printed out receipts. She had upped her game. There was no talk of emotional labor. It was a detailed 4-page document demanding reimbursement for her share of our cohabitated life. She included copies of receipts for a bookshelf, a desk chair, various kitchen gadgets, and a bill for a dental procedure from 2 years ago. She claimed she had covered numerous household expenses in cash and was demanding repayment. Her total demand was a shockingly specific $9,475. It was a work of fiction, but a well-documented one. She was building a case, hoping to bury me in paperwork. The dirty tricks continued. The photographer called me, not to ask for money, but to give me a heads up. Final update, Lauren had called him, told him the wedding was off, and asked if he could write a statement of loss for her, saying she had paid the $1,000 deposit in full so she could claim it on an insurance policy she never had. He was a nice guy and thought it smelled fishy, so he wanted to let me know. She wasn't just lying to get money, she was trying to get others to lie for her. This was the final straw. My grief had long since evaporated, replaced by a cold, hard resolve. She wanted to play games with paper? Fine. I live and breathe spreadsheets for a living. The counteroffensive, I didn't just make one spreadsheet. I made a whole damn PowerPoint presentation. Slide 1, executive summary, a brief, polite rejection of her demand. Slide 2, analysis of Lauren's claims. I went through her receipts one by one. The bookshelf, I cross-referenced my credit card statement from that month, showing the charge to my account. The desk chair, I found the email order confirmation and my name. The dental procedure, I attached a copy of the insurance statement showing my policy had covered 80% of it. Slide 3, Kyle's documented losses. This was my version of her demand. The $2,500 venue deposit frozen, but my loss, the $1,000 photographer fee gone. The cost of shipping her life across 3 states, $7 to $85. The final utility bill she'd left me with, $180. My total documented losses directly due to her actions, $4,465. Slide 4, the path forward. I offered 2 options. Option A, she signs a notarized statement agreeing to the cancellation of the wedding venue contract and releases any claim to the deposit. In return, I will absorb my fourth $165 loss, and we walk away, never speaking again. Option B, she refuses, and I use the exact documentation I was presenting to file against her in small claims court to recover my losses. I converted the presentation to a PDF. I titled it Financial Reconciliation. I wrote a very short, polite email, attached the PDF, and sent it to Lauren. And once again, I CC'd Walter and Judith, not out of malice, but because they were now entangled in this mess, whether they liked it or not. I didn't get a response for 4 days. The silence was unnerving. It's over. I think it's finally truly over. The ending wasn't a sudden explosion, but a slow, messy fizzle. I never heard from Zachary. I never got a direct reply from Lauren to my email. The information trickled in from the one mutual friend, Harold, that I still talk to. He heard the story from a very gossipy, very remorseful Kelly, who was trying to get back in the social group's good graces. Apparently, my financial reconciliation PDF caused a meltdown of epic proportions. Her parents, faced with undeniable documented proof of her lies, finally put their foot down. The call wasn't a single confrontation, but a week-long war. They presented her with the facts. She tried to deny them, but the receipts and statements were irrefutable. They cut her off, not just her credit card, but the whole safety net. Zachary, the lifestyle entrepreneur, did not react with a poetic justice speech. His reaction was far more common and pathetic. Once he realized Lauren's family support was gone and she came with significant debt, which her parents informed her she now had to handle, he simply faded away. The texts became less frequent. He was suddenly always busy in meetings. About 2 weeks after she was financially cut off, she came home to their rented studio to find his stuff gone and a note on the counter that said, "Sorry, the energy here isn't right for me anymore." He blocked her on everything. No drama, just a quiet, cowardly exit. Lauren is now living with her parents, not just in the garage, but in her old teenage bedroom. It's not a punishment, it's a grim necessity. According to Harold, she's not humbled or remorseful. She's bitter. She's spinning a new narrative to a fresh audience of old high school friends. In this version, she was the victim of a controlling, emotionally cold fiancé, me, who brutally threw her out, and then she was taken advantage of by a con artist, Zachary. Some people are buying it. I've had to block a couple of her distant relatives on social media who sent me angry messages. A week after I sent my email, I received a letter from a notary. It was the signed agreement to release the venue deposit. She took option A. She knew she would lose in court, so I won, but it doesn't feel like a clean victory. I lost a woman I loved for 6 years. I'm out over $4,000. I have trust issues that are going to take a long time to unpack. The apartment doesn't feel empty anymore. It just feels quiet. I've started redecorating, but it's a slow process. Some days I feel free and light. Other days, I feel an old phantom limb of bitterness and regret. It wasn't a neat story with a perfect bow at the end. It was a messy, painful, and expensive lesson. Sometimes, when people show you who they are, you have to be willing to pack it all in a box and ship it away, even if it costs you a piece of yourself. Thanks for following along. It's time for me to log off and start a new chapter.